Welcome everybody to today's episode of Empower Performance Podcast. Today's guest is Clay Mefford. For anybody who doesn't know, Clay was my first boss in this world of strength and conditioning. He gave me my first chance as an intern out in Cincinnati. I think he's the best boss ever. I'm going to let him talk about himself, but at some point I'm going to speak about Clay's greatness. But Clay, if you don't mind telling us about your background in sports and how you got into coaching, giving yourself a little introduction, I'd appreciate that.
Yeah, man. For sure. Um, I I played sports all growing up through middle school and like elementary school. It was all just baseball, basketball, soccer. Did a little bit of golf early. Um, got into as I got closer to high school. I started to kind of drop some sports. I dropped soccer. I dropped basketball going into high school. I'm sorry, baseball.
Mhm.
Um, and ended up just playing soccer in high school. I wasn't the best athlete. But I don't know really the best way to put it. I think I was lazy is in simple terms. Yeah, like I was a late bloomer, like through the end of elementary school into middle school, just like I said, I was lazy. If I wasn't playing, I was playing video games. So I ended up, like carrying some extra weight as a middle schooler into high school. And when you're in elementary school playing 3 sports a year, you don't have time to just sit a whole lot. But as I got into middle school, I started to sit a little bit more when I had the time. And honestly, yeah, I didn't really realize the impact that what I do now. I didn't realize the impact that it could have on you at such an early age. So I had some bad coaches. Just and in my opinion, maybe not bad coaches. They just maybe didn't communicate things the best way. Especially like when you're a middle schooler or a young high schooler, like how things are delivered to you, um, I think is extremely important.
Mhm.
Um, so you know, I got introduced, to training from one of my good friends in high school, my junior year going into my senior year, and um, I remember going out for soccer my senior year, and my coach was, just telling me, "What the hell, Mefford? Like this is the best shape you've been in, coming into the year, and it's your senior year." And I kind of had a little bit of a light bulb moment. Um, and then honestly, like after soccer, I kind of kept training. And yeah, so I realized, the impact that could have on you, not from just an athletic standpoint, but also just an overall confidence standpoint in life.
Mhm.
Um, you know, we both know the impact that, it has on like your mental health, and your physical health. So, um, I kind of just fell in love with it. Didn't really, and like even going into college, I don't really know if I wanted to like just go this route. I know like at some point in high school, I kind of thought I was maybe going to go into like accounting, or something like in the finance realm, but ended up finding out that you can make this a profession. Um, so yeah, I got in the exercise science program at Northern, um, and going into my senior year, I did an internship with the S&C program there at the university. Loved it. After I graduated, I got linked up with Kevin Hollabaugh, who was the owner of Pro Force Sports Performance in Cincinnati. Kevin was awesome. Gave me you know a tremendous opportunity in this field in my backyard, kind of close to home. Um, so he brought me on as an intern. That was about 6 months or so, and then he talked about opening up a Northern Kentucky facility. And me being from Northern Kentucky, I I was all on board with it. Things didn't necessarily go as planned as we wanted to, but it ended up kind of being more of a like a franchise setup of some sort. Like we still work together, but I ended up kind of taking full ownership of our Northern Kentucky location at the time. And then that's how I got linked up with you one year. And yeah, I mean, ever since, I mean, really college. I mean, when I did that first internship, I just realized how much I like working with athletes.
Mhm.
Um, and just even if it's, like a minor impact, it's cool to watch the growth, um, and just achieving goals. I just love everything about it, man.
And then would you mind telling me about where you're at now?
Oh yeah, so now I am at Town and Country Sports and Health Club in Wilder, Kentucky. Um, I left Pro Force in 2023, to take an opportunity not far at all. It's less than 10 minutes away from my last facility, but it's a little closer to home, and it was a good opportunity to work a little bit more closely with the volleyball club that we had done a lot of work with over the last few
Yeah.
years before I made the transition over here. Um, it's a big health club here, big facility. And then, like I said, they have a volleyball club that trains out of here. They have their own facility, across the parking lot. But I just thought it was a good opportunity to try to just grow a little bit more. And I wanted to work a little bit more closely with the girls of the volleyball club. So I took a job with Town and Country, and then honestly, not even a year later, one of the major healthcare providers in the area, St. Elizabeth Healthcare, they kind of bought out the sports performance piece here at Town and Country. So
Okay.
myself and then Chandler and Georgia, the other two coaches that are with us, we are technically employees of St. Elizabeth Healthcare working
Okay.
out of Town and Country. So we're running a sports performance program here, and then we actually have another location, 15, 20 minutes away, up to 75, inside of Griffin Elite, that also has another location for our program.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
So, I'll speak really quick as to how I came to meet you, and then my impression of you, and it's positive. Just to get the spoiler out of the way. Um, I was sort of a similar story to you. I find that there's like maybe two main archetypes for a coach. You either like didn't do a lot, and then you did. You're like, wow, this is incredible! What a huge impact. Or you tried doing athlete everything you could, and then like maybe had big aspirations of being an athlete at a high level, and it didn't happen, and then you're just like, shit, well, what do I do now with all this knowledge and all that stuff? So you try to help other people. So that was a
Yeah.
little bit more my route. But then, yeah, business major in college and all that stuff. And then I graduated. I was a soccer coach for a bit. I liked coaching high school soccer a lot. Coaching in club wasn't my favorite thing in the world, but I don't want to have to go too far into that. Um, but then I was getting my strength conditioning certification the whole time that I was coaching. And then as soon as I got it, my wife went to grad school in Cincinnati. I moved from Virginia to Cincinnati, and then I was looking for internships. So I just spent one day. I printed out about a dozen flyers. I drove to a dozen places in one day, just looking at all the strength and conditioning facilities, looking for the best opportunity. And like you were top of the list, and it's small things that people might not appreciate. But I might go into a place, try to shake someone's hand. They don't look me in the eye. They don't give me a warm smile. They don't want to talk to me all that much. Some places wouldn't call back. Some places would, and so like, the one thing that I really appreciated was that you, like, looked me in the eye, you gave me a firm handshake, you gave me a smile, like, you're willing to talk to me, and then you gave me the opportunity, which I appreciated, but I find that a lot of internship programs, at least if they're very, very structured, it's kinda just like, set up the cones, set up the bands, maybe they give you,
Yeah.
like, the warm-ups to do and all that stuff after a couple months, but it doesn't feel like it's much more than just, like, cleaning, and I probably had, like, 3 days of shadowing you, and then you, like, gave me my first kid to work with. And then if I did well with that, you give me more opportunities to do stuff. And so it really gave me the opportunity to be confident. And you actually helped me with that too, because I was a very shy person. That's my natural personality. And you were just like, hey, like, you know what you're talking about. Be confident, put yourself out there. You'd say stuff like, be a sniper. Like, I would always want to walk over and whisper things to people or stuff. You're like, no, if you see something from across the room, you shout it out. You tell a person from the say, like, messed up in the squad, whatever. Right. And so, like, it
Yeah.
gave me a lot of opportunity, confidence. But then one thing that I don't think people realize about a good coach is it's not just the level of care that they have towards their athletes, because a lot of people care and a lot of people maybe know stuff, maybe they don't. A lot of coaches I find are very lazy with demonstrations, and I find that is like the exact opposite of you. I've never seen someone go 100% in every demo. I mean, if you were if you were trying to sprint and you would have the warm ups and then sprints and then lifting and all that stuff at the facility, I would have to do like a 10-minute warm up before even considering a full sprint. I mean, you would just hit the full sprint from nothing right away. Wow, like, this guy's 100% with his athletes. So, and then
Gotta
if
let
anybody
those
doesn't know,
you gotta
yeah, you
let
gotta let
those
them know.
kids know, man, that
Yeah,
you still got it.
yeah. Also, to your credit, you also had up on the board everybody's jump height, and I think you had like 40 inches at one point on your on your vertical jump, which
Yeah, it
is
was
obscene for an handicraft.
it was just under 40.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, I wish I could still spring like that. I still got a little bit, but not quite 39 anymore. You know what's funny
yeah,
about
that's
that
pretty
too, Matt?
impressive.
Uh, Go off on a little tangent real quick. We just
Sure.
recently, within the last like 2 or 3 months, we didn't stop using the jump mat. Um,
Mhm.
we still use it, but man, I found out that that thing is just extremely inflated. I did not, I had no idea. Which like, I mean, kind of makes sense, but we started using some force plates here, and I was the
Yeah,
first
that's
one to
nice.
test them out, and I did a couple jumps, and I was like, whoa. Whoa, hold on, what's going on? I'm not
Yeah,
jumping.
that's right.
I'm barely jumping 20 inches, like with my hands on my
Yeah,
hips. So yeah, we had to humble some kids in the last few
yeah,
months. But yeah, I mean, I do, and honestly, I have been told that too. Like when I first started here at Town and Country, Ryan Schaefer, who was the president at the time, he's the one that gave me the opportunity here. And after watching me for about 3 to 6 months, he said something to me the one time. He was just like, he's like, man, he's like, you don't have to go all out in like every demonstration that you do. And I'm like, I know, but at the same time, I feel like I do. Like you have to do a little bit of effort in it because like you have to show them the way that like we're aspiring it to make it look right. Like it's not gonna
right.
look, it might not look like how the coach demos it, on day one, but like by week 3 or week 4, like we should be aspiring like this is what it should look like. Um, I've dialed back my demonstrations a little bit, but I love it, man. I love it.
Yeah. But it really does like set a tempo for the kids and set a culture and all that stuff. And buy-in is huge. And if you show that you can walk the walk, that's huge. And I learned that because I would say that out of the facility, it was mostly middle school, high school kids. And
Yeah,
high school kids who were varsity and going to go into college, they didn't really want to talk to the intern. They wanted to talk to Clay. And so I was like, man, how can I get these kids to listen to me? And one day they're doing a challenge with pull-ups. How many pull-ups can they do? Is like a 45-pound plate around their waist.
yeah, you
And I
crushed
was
it.
like, "All right, well." Yeah, so I made sure to, like, do way better than the kids, and all of a sudden they wanted to talk to me a little bit, or they tried muscle ups and they couldn't do muscle up and I could. And so it's like, I have some things I'm good at, some things I'm not good at, you know? And I was like, "All right, this is an opportunity to do the thing I'm good at, get a little bit of buy-in, and
Yeah,
then
heck
that works."
yeah.
But, yeah,
Dude,
and the other
I
thing,
still think about that all the time because
yeah,
whenever I'm doing weighted chin ups, I'm like, man, I'm not even close to Matt. I'm not even close to him.
we all have our things. I'd much rather have a 39-inch vert or whatever would be on the force deck, you know? But, like, and then speaking about that, it's interesting because I have, so I had a just jump mat at my parents' house,
Hmm.
when I used to live around. And for anyone who doesn't know, it's like this giant square grid. And my understanding is it records force and hang time. It has like a calculation that comes out and tells you your your jump height. But then I went and got OVR Performance has like a little like scanning grid. I don't know
Yeah,
if you've ever
yeah. How
seen
do you
it.
like that?
I really like it. I'm not trying to like sell anything. I have the link in bio for like a discount kickback. So, not, but I really do like it. I think it's the most portable and most affordable thing. But it also has ground contact time and RSI, which is cool.
That is cool.
So for what it is, it's really cool. But even just those two mats, I can jump the same, and there's a 2 inch difference right off the bat. The OVR I think is more realistic, but the just jump mat will make you feel a lot higher. So
Yeah,
I think there was a strength coach, Rager Performance, I think is his name, and he like did in one day the Vertec, the jump mat, and the
that
OVR
was
just to
probably the
show.
video that I saw where he was
Yeah,
like talking
yeah,
about
yeah,
debunking it, basically,
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
saying
yeah.
that it's inflated. Yeah,
There
it's
is,
like
yeah,
why would you want to make a device like that? Like why would you want to program it to
be a
be
little bit
like
higher
a
than what it
4 to 7 inch difference every
Yeah,
time someone jumps? Like
yeah,
I want the I want the real feedback. Like
yeah, yeah,
yeah, I want to know like how good I am or how much I suck. Like
sure. Yeah, yeah.
and then I want to adjust my training accordingly. But when I found that out, I was just like, that sucks.
It's a bit
Not
of a bummer.
I
Yeah,
wasn't anywhere close to 40. I was probably more like 33.
I know that you were talking about playing around with the force decks for like um isometrics, overcoming
Hmm.
isometrics and all that stuff. Have you played around with that?
I have. We just started doing a a vertical jump program. We mainly it's only for middle schoolers. Um,
Okay.
and my reasoning behind that was like right now in Northern Kentucky, it's volleyball and like basketball. There might still be a little bit of AAU going on, but basketball is kind of done. But like volleyball, high school volleyball is in full swing. So those high schoolers, they're 5 or 6 days a week, nonstop for the most part. They don't have a lot of opportunity to train, and then they're going to go right from their school season into their club season, and that's when like we might start seeing some more of them. Whether that's within program stuff within the club or girls coming to see us on their own. But I've been talking to the coaches and then some people here at Town and Country and just like how I can grow like our high school program again. And I was like, oh, I started talking to the director at the volleyball club. I'm like, what is the middle schoolers volleyball load for the most part in this area? And she was like, it's
Mhm.
practice 1 or 2 days a week, and they might have a couple games. So I'm like, so
That's
they have
great.
some opportunities so they to do some additional training. She's like 100%. So I was like, let's just open it up to the middle schoolers, and you know, we'll we'll put on a good program for them. We'll create some buy-in. We'll show them their improvements across 10 weeks, and then hopefully, like in the years to come, they think about us before they think about anybody else. But kind of got off on a tangent. But we've been using the force plates to measure like the girls' vertical jumps, and we're only in the second week of their program.
Mhm.
But as they get a little bit more comfortable and competent with some of the stuff that we're doing, we're going to start doing some like overcoming stuff with them actually. But what I've done with it and what I've done with a few of the high schoolers, whether that's in season or out of season, is we've been using it for the main few that we've been doing is like an isometric belt squat,
Okay, cool.
and then uh, a hamstring a hamstring push, like kind of like a glute bridge setup, but
Yeah, yeah, but you're a movable object. You have like plates that you can't
yeah,
move.
put the bar over
Yeah,
top of them with like maybe
yeah, yeah.
135 and just have them drive. And then we'll do like a knee and ankle kind of like a run specific isometric push, like which is
Okay,
really
cool.
Alex Natera has done a lot of stuff with it. That's who Vault is the company whose decks we're using, and
Yeah,
he's done a lot of work with Bald as far as like his run specific isometrics. So we've been using those. Those are the main ones we've been using. Um, I like the feedback. I don't necessarily know how much like the kids like it. Like every once in a
yeah.
while
That's,
you'll get a
that's quite
kid
good.
that is, kind of into that side of things. But like I mean the couple girls that I'm using it with right now, and then yeah, okay, so yeah, I'll just take those 2 girls, for instance, and then a couple of the high school boys that I'm using it with right now, like, the boys wanna use it way more than the girls. I don't and that could just be it's a very small sample size, but, yeah, like, the 2 guys that I'm thinking of, they seem a little bit more curious with the feedback than the girls. Like, for instance, like, last week, I was doing a belt squat with one of the she's currently in season, so that's another reason why I'm using it with her. But we were doing, like, a belt squat, and she, like, did her first rep, and, I mean, it was up, like, 15% from the last time she did it, and
Oh,
I got all pumped up. I'm like, heck yeah, Rachel, like, great job, like, we're feeling good today." And, she's just like, "Cool." And I'm like I'm like, I try to use it from, like, an educational standpoint too. Um, just
sure.
like, for instance, one of the high school boys, he's a baseball kid, and he's trying to throw hard. He wants to throw harder this year, and, um, he he'll come in and he'll jump on it maybe, or he'll do one of the isometric tests, and he'll be like, "Oh, it's down," or, "My jump's down," and I'm like, "Well, what did you do yesterday?" "Well, I went and I threw and I did this and I did that." And I'm like, "Well, hey, like that's why you're down today. Like it's okay." I'm like, "But you need to start paying attention to, like when you do certain things on certain days, like this is the response that you can expect your body to have." So like just kind of tailoring and getting them to understand like workloads from a day-to-day basis. Um,
Mhm.
like that's the thing that I almost like to use it more for.
Sure.
Yeah, it's great to see the numbers and the outputs go up, but like when you see or when we see like these big dips when maybe we shouldn't see a big dip, um, it's like, okay, well, hey, what are you doing? Like, are you sleeping? Are you eating? Are you hydrating appropriately for everything else that you're doing during the week? And a lot of times it's no, I'm not sleeping enough. I'm not drinking enough water from day to day. I'm eating I'm eating enough calories, but maybe I'm only doing that like 3 days a week.
Yeah.
So yeah, just like an educational standpoint, especially for those high schoolers, is what I'm probably trying to use it like the most for,
Yeah.
and to
Yeah.
track some progress. But
So like I have maybe 5 pieces of gym tech. I have from OBR, I have the jump system, and then I have the VBT device that they have. Um,
I'd say I
and
have the
then
VBT device too. I like that one.
so I like it. And
Yeah.
then I also have like a grip strength kind of like scale.
Oh, I saw you
Um,
playing with that. Yeah.
yeah. And then I had a it's from JockU, I think is how it's pronounced, but it's a seed watch. Where so you like set up your phone as like a gate.
Mhm.
Um, and then what's the last one that I have? Oh, it's a heart rate monitor. All those things are so great if you use the metrics. If you understand the metrics, if you know how to use the metrics, if you use it to inform decisions, it's also great for like gamification. Like if a kid, you just tell him to jump really high, he won't care. But if he sees on one jump it's 25 inches, on the next at 26, and then he wants to push really hard, it makes it kind of fun and all that stuff. So I think it's good for like that last 5% of effort if someone thinks they're doing it but they're not. Or it's good if you actually use the info to track progress or to see fluctuations, actually use it to inform decisions like, oh, maybe you're a little tired. We take the session down a bit, focus on quality, maybe cut the volume a little bit. But if you just don't know how to use it, I'm not saying you, that's an issue you have, but like a kid might not appreciate it if they don't understand the importance of it. And then, like when you're talking about the educational aspect or at least using it for like day-to-day fluctuations, that's where I find it's the most important.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
so that's definitely how I like it. But some people will have all the sports science in the world, and then they still won't know how to coach a good session. And then you'll have somebody else out of like a CrossFit box with a bar, a plate, a bench, a rack, and some dumbbells, and they have like a really good coaching eye. And they don't need to care so much about the science. And they'll put on a great session. So it's not everything, but if you know how to use it, it's a nice like bonus.
Yeah.
But if I was to build a gym, the rack would come first, the bar, the plates, the dumbbells, and all that stuff, and then that stuff is really fun. But it's only as useful as you allow it to be, I guess is what I'd say about that.
Yeah,
So
and like said, I think some people can just like get too much into the weeds on it and just like it's everything's got to be measured or tracked or something. It's honestly something that I probably still battle with myself sometimes.
yeah,
It's like, hey, am I giving these? I mean, for instance, like the middle schoolers, like this jump program that we're doing. I was talking to Georgia and Chandler just the other day. I'm like, are we giving them enough things to kind of like track and be aware of from week to week? Like we're gonna give them feedback on their speed from week to week, and that we'll have them jump at least once a week on the decks. Um, but like, do they need anything else that they need to be aware of, like from a week to week basis? Like, are there any things that we want to see them consistently, challenge? And it was something that I battle with, and I'm like, I don't know, like, and sometimes I'm like, probably less is better. Like, just
sure.
get them in here, like let them have fun, like get them smiling, but also like give them things that are gonna make them a little bit stronger and help them feel better and produce impact performance and all those things. So yeah, you gotta kind of you gotta just ride the line, like not too much,
Yeah, yeah.
but
No, it's not too
obviously,
little.
yeah, you don't want to not do anything. So
Yeah, it's great to get them doing sprints. It's great to get them doing the jumps. They get a little bit of competition amongst them. So who's got the fastest time,
yeah,
and you get to track and all that stuff. But yeah, some people do go a little bit too far down the rabbit hole, um,
I think the
and then that's
speed
when
gates. I think the
yeah,
speed gates are the best
number one
tool
things. Yeah,
for middle schoolers and high schoolers.
yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
like if I think back to when you were around with us in Northern Kentucky, we did I have Gates at that time?
You did, and I'm trying to remember
The
his name. Was it
Browers?
John Jimenez? John Jimenez was the high school
Oh
athlete who was like
yeah,
the
yeah,
quicker.
John.
He would borrow them. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that kid was lightning.
He still comes in to see us. He was in here over the summer.
That's
He's
awesome.
still lightning. He's still lightning. But
A great kid too. Great
um
kid.
but yeah, like I remember the difference from like, a few months before I had those gates until when I got those gates. Like, we would have some kids that are like, we gotta do sprints again," or, we're gonna time this or that," or, like, "We're gonna do this type of sprint workout," whatever. But then we got the gates, and it's like, "Alright, we're done for the day." Like, "No, I want another one. No, I want
Yeah,
another
yeah,
one.
yeah, yeah.
Like, I wanna
Yeah,
go again." And I'm like, "Dude, you've done, like, 30-yard
10
reps. Like,
sprints.
we have to
Yeah,
call
yeah,
it." Like,
yeah, you're cooked.
and honestly, I've done that to myself too. Like,
Yeah,
I know it was one Saturday I was in here and I was feeling good, and I mean, man, I probably did 15 to 20, like, 30-yard
crazy.
reps, and my
Yeah,
hamstrings were
yeah,
they were wrecked for, like, 2 weeks. I'm pretty sure I gave myself, like, some tendinitis in my left hamstring and, like, or some
yeah,
tendinosis or something because my hamstring just felt terrible. But I was just, like, so into it, and then that was, like, kind of my, like, moment and, like, yeah, I had been sprinting, but I'm like, "You just did way too much, and your learn and grow moment." Like, never let
yeah,
someone go out and do that much sprint volume in one day.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the one of the most valuable things about, like, some people say, "Do trainers need to be in shape?" And, like, the question is, like, you could be super in shape and not know how to train people. You can be not in the best shape and be a great trainer. But I think the value is not in the shape that you're in, it's more just, like, practicing what you preach, and it helps you,
Mhm.
like, better understand and, like, coach other people because you have the feeling, you have the experience to share and, like, draw upon, and not just what a book would say.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important for trainers, not to do on a regular basis, but to be willing to sprint until they're like, "Ooh, that was too much," and then they know to hold back maybe the one kid that wants to do too much all the time. Like, when I was in college, I did way too much volume. We had practice almost every day of the week, so what, 4 or 5 days a week, 2 games a week. We maybe had 1 off day a week. And then I would do a gym workout almost every single day, and then I'd probably do, like, an extra individual section every other day. And so, like, I was probably working out 2, 3 hours a day. I was not sleeping the best. I was eating a lot, but it just never felt like it was enough. And my performance was just trash through college because I was constantly, like, needing to do 15-minute warm-ups just to, like, be able to start jogging because 'cause I'd be so sore and destroyed. And,
Yeah.
like, okay, I can teach a kid to not do that. On the flip side, you don't want people to be so soft that they never actually push hard enough to make gains. So I
100,
think it's important to do
100%.
both sides. So, yeah, I mean, no one will ever accuse you of not doing enough. I mean, I would see you do really long days. For people who don't know, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, you had morning sessions and then you'd work with parents and then you'd do like from like 3 to 8 or 3 to 9, you'd work with like the high school and middle school groups. And then I would see you do like Squattober, which is just like heavy squats every day of the month of October. And, I'm like, when does this guy like sleep or have like, you know what I mean? And then I'm sure you had the business side to worry about and lots of programs to write. And the programs are still like pretty individual. You wrote individual programs for everybody. It wasn't just, like a CrossFit box. I'm not trying to announce CrossFit, but like you could just write one
No,
workout for
yeah.
everybody. So I
Yeah.
mean, like
I
you did a
mean,
lot.
man, I'm sure you got some long days right now, like, with
Yeah,
everything
yeah,
you
yeah,
got going on
yeah,
from house to house, and I mean,
yeah. Driving
honestly,
it. Yeah,
yeah, like, when I was at the batting cage, not trying to say, like, I'm not still motivated because I am, but I was just, like, so excited to, like, have that opportunity and, to kind of have a spot that was quote unquote "mine,"
yeah.
and then, yeah, like, that was, like I was just, like, kind of throwing myself into, like, that was gonna be my full-time job, so, yeah,
Mhm.
I did some adult stuff in the mornings, and then generally tried to give myself, a few hours in between, like, the late morning and then, like, that early afternoon when kids get out of school just to, whether that's eat, train, um, do some of the business side of stuff things, programs, walk the dogs, like, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah,
But and then, yeah, and then, like, back at the facility from, 2 or 2:30 until at some times of the year, it's 7:30, sometimes it's 8:30 or 9, but yeah, they were long, and honestly, I think that's part of the reason why, like, after doing that for 5 or 6 years, however long I was there, 2018 to 20 yeah, like 6 years they were there at the batting cage, just, like, I did have periods of burnout for sure, um, and, like, I need to go be somewhere where, like, I have just more people around me, more support,
mhm,
um, because, yeah, like, I really love what I do, and I don't want to be burnt out. Um, so I actually did cut back a little bit on my adult stuff within the last couple years because I wanted like making this transition over here. I was like, I want to grow this program here. But after being here for a few years, I kind of do. I still have a few adults that I do some stuff with, but I want to try to find some more because I do
Mhm.
enjoy that side of it too. And like I'm sure you can attest to this too, Matt. You're how old now?
It's 28.
Baby, man. So like, but like, it just like you're getting ready to start a family, and I'm sure you have like other friends that are in that same boat. I mean, I'm 33. Corey and I were getting ready to have our first kid, but like I have a lot of friends, whether that's a little older, a little younger, or even, people that like my parents' age, but like you can attest to this too. Like you have friends that, hey man, I really want you to like write me a program or like
Oh, sure,
I
sure.
really need to come like see you at the gym. Like I gotta get myself doing something, but I just don't have
Mhm.
time, this and that. And like as I like kind of like make my way into like probably like this next stage of my life, like being a father, like I almost want to still love doing stuff with the kids for sure, but I almost want to start trying to like give more to like people like around my age or even just
Yeah.
a little bit
Mhm.
older that are parents that are maybe struggling with their health and fitness
Sure.
and just like let them know that like it's not over. Like
Mhm.
you can still be healthy, you can be strong and but yeah, like it's so important as you get older and not enough people do it.
Yeah, pay attention
Uh
to it and all that. Yeah. Like even I
yeah.
have friends, I'm not gonna name names, but I have friends now telling me it's like, man, I'm getting old. I'm like, well, I'm the same age as you. So it's not an
Yeah.
age thing. It's like, yeah, it's an
I
activity thing, you
hate
know? So,
I hate when I hear people say that. I'm like, I mean, some of the high schoolers, they'll be like, I'm getting old. And I'm like, dude,
yeah. Yeah,
you
you're in your prime.
are 15 or 16 or 17 years old. Like, if
Yeah.
you feel like that, like, that's a problem. Like, oh man, yeah, just like it grinds my gears. We've been doing some stuff with the basketball team at the high school where I graduated. And we do some stretching basically at the beginning of every session, whether that's, ground based stuff or we're up and moving. And I've thrown a few like movement flows at them within the last
Okay.
week or so. And dude, it's like kids can't touch their toes, kids can't lateral squat. I mean, it's ridiculous. And I'm like, if I'm 33 and I can do this getting out of my car, why why are you 15 and can't do this? And
I feel like I have to go on a
it's
bit of a tangent with that. Um,
good go.
I find that people don't pay enough attention to like being well-rounded physically. I think they might have the one aspects that they're good at and they're not. I'm not gonna try to throw like my mom under the bus, for example, but like for her age, she's got good power, she's got good strength, but she can't touch her toes and she gets out of breath really fast. And it's like, if I'm gonna write a program for anybody, I'm gonna give them, yes, the stuff they like so they adhere to the program and put some effort, because that matters. But then on the flip side, like you have to work on your weaknesses.
Yeah.
The average person should be well rounded. You should be able to touch your toes. You should be able to run a mile without stopping. You should be able to do, some push ups and all that stuff. Maybe a pull up or something here. You might be able to, like, whatever. And it's all relative to a person's age and strength and activity levels and all that stuff. But like, some people just focus on stuff that they're good at. You see some men that only do upper body, never train legs. Or you see the flip with like women and all that stuff. They never want to hit upper body. It's like it's all important. It's all good. And so I don't know. I train to be a jack of all trades, master of none. It'd be great to
I
be a
like
master
that.
of something,
Yeah.
but like yeah, I mean, my goal is to like never have a physical endeavor I feel totally unprepared for. Like that
Hmm.
is my, and then it's also to enjoy it. So like I have now thought like I was an athlete from 9 to 22, 21 or something like that. And then from then until like 25, 26, I was like, man, I got no sports to play right now, right? So I was just working out to work out. And for some people, that's great. For me, that just wasn't engaging enough. I need to work out towards a sport. I need to have a reason to work out. So I got into combat sports recently, and like now I have a reason to train. But training for me is supplemental, and then it makes getting to the gym important. But if I decide to be like,
Yeah.
man, I got to hit bench press again, like to me, that's not always the most exciting thing. But if it's like, okay, I got to deadlift because I'm going to wrestle somebody, and being able to move weight off the ground means I get to move weight like there. Then it gives me a reason to actually do the work that I don't want to do, and then I have more variety. It keeps everything engaging. I made a post the other day. I worked out for like 2.5 hours in one day, but it was like 30, 40-minute sessions, and it was just a bunch of different things. If I just did 2.5 hours in the gym, I would be miserable and I'd hate it. And
Yeah.
like, so I mean, life changes, and like you're talking about working hard and all that stuff and wanting to help parents, but like you're gonna have a kid. I imagine you might want to find that balance with like family life and work life
Oh,
and all
yeah.
that. And
Yeah.
yeah, so
Well,
I'm already thinking about that a little.
honestly, it's something that, like, I probably need to, like, just do, like, some more research in, and it's something I think about you a lot, Matt, is because, like, I feel like your schedule is pretty flexible for the most part. Like, I feel like mine is too right now, outside of just, the commitment that we have here at the facility after school and into the
Sure.
evening. But within the last 5 years or so, like, online training has gotten so big.
Yeah.
Um, and it's something that intrigues me, but it's just like I feel like it's a realm that I don't really know how to, like, get into, which
Navigate.
probably is gonna sound, like that probably sounds extremely stupid and to say in 2025, but, like, I mean, kind of going back to the beginning of the show, like, I'm an introvert at heart, but so, like, I have a hard time putting myself out there. That's why, like, if you walk like, when you walked into the facility, when you came in to meet me that day, like, I probably didn't seem like an introvert because I was in my setting.
Yeah.
Same thing as if someone walks in here today, like, I'll be, uppity, and I'll smile, and I'll shake someone's hand if I'm meeting them for the first time, but, like, if I go outside of here to a setting where, I'm maybe not super familiar with, or I'm in a bigger crowd, like, I'm gonna try to find the corner, like, or I'm gonna
Casually.
try to find, like, the one, the couple people that I know and that I feel comfortable with, and, like, just talk to them. I'm not an extremely, like, extrovert, so, um, I feel like that's part of the reason why, like, I don't have, like, a big, social media like, I don't post a ton. I don't and it's not because it's mainly because of that, like, I'm probably just scared to put myself out there, but yeah, I kinda got off on a little tangent there, but, like,
No,
it's
no, it's cool. I appreciate you saying that because like I 100% relate to everything. And one of the things that I needed like as a push to be able to have the podcast and all that stuff, I was shout out to Ben. Ben had me guest as a guest on his podcast. It was great. And then he told me I should start one, and then I was like, okay, maybe. But I had the same kind of feelings that you have, and I listened to the Coach 'em Up podcast of Tim Riley. I've mentioned him on a couple podcasts now, so I'll eventually have to get him on this podcast. He'd be a huge get. But he was saying that like he was sitting on the sidelines, not posting, but then hating on like the Joel Seedmans of the world. And then eventually he's like, okay, well, I can put myself out there and put good information, try to help people, and have skin in the game and all that stuff. And he was also talking about like perfectionism, and like if you wait for it to be perfect, you'll never do it. But if you just get going, eventually it'll get better. And so, like, I told
yeah.
my wife when I was starting the podcast, if I can start at like 70% of what my expectation for it is, then it's worth doing and like keep going. Cause like the next podcast might be 72%. If I do enough podcasts, maybe I'll eventually be in the realm that I want it to be at, but it'll never be where I want it to be if I don't start. So it's kind of one of the same thing with martial arts. Like, I'm a lot better now than I was a year ago when I started, like all those combat sports, but I still see like I'll get whooped. And I'm like, all right, I got a lot of learning, got a lot of learning to do and all that stuff. So I've like in my late 20s had this kind of like renaissance, I guess. I know it sounds weird to say, where I was like, okay, I'm ready to be a beginner again and get out of my comfort zone and all that. And like you have the knowledge, you care, you can help a lot of people. I know it's an oversaturated space, but like if you can just help people in your community, they can find you. That's great. The main reason why I definitely want to get into that in the future, the online stuff. Yeah, it'd be nice to have like a slightly more passive income and be able to like have more family time. But the main thought is that like I do mostly one-on-one and two-on-one sessions, and it's not cheap. And it makes me feel guilty that I can only help a certain market when like there were some kids where it was maybe a bit more affordable with the group session like model that you had, that you would be able to help. They might not be able to afford personal training. And I want to be able to help anybody who asks me, you know? And that was one of the things
Mhm.
that I loved about working at Proforce was I had in my mind what every kid has. They say, I want to work with the best athletes and no one else, right?
Yeah.
And the one thing that changed my mind was one day he gave me a middle schooler and he was out of shape and not very athletic, not very coordinated. And I was like, man, I'd rather be working with the really athletic, high school guys who are going to go play college and all that stuff. And I had experiences with both of them and realized I had no idea what I was talking about. That kid was like my favorite person to train ever because I'd never seen someone work so hard and have such a good energy. I mean,
Yeah.
he would be doing like incline push-ups until he collapsed. He'd be sweating in a puddle. He had a good sense of humor, great work ethic. He'd listen to everything you'd say. And I'm like, that's it. I want to help coachable, good people over anything else. And with some of the high school kids, you tell them something and they kind of like shrug you off a little bit, and then they don't need your help as much. They're already in good shape and all. So it's like that's my mission now, is just to help anyone who really wants to be helped. I don't care what the age, the gender, the height, the athleticism, doesn't matter to me.
I
Um,
completely agree, Matt. I think I was the same way. Like when I first got into it, I'm like, I just want to work with like the best athletes in the area. I want to work with the kids that, like want to play in college and, like, cause that'll, if they want to play at the next level, like they'll work. But you
mhm,
find that like, that's not always the case. Cause like the kids that know that they have a chance to play at the next level, for the most part, they're extremely talented at their sport and their skill. Um, but yeah, like you get like those tweeners and the
mhm,
kids that maybe need like a little bit more attention, and
mhm,
guidance, like, those are the ones that sometimes buy in more, and then, like, when they get to be a senior, like, maybe they're, like, completely shocked because they have an offer to play at
mhm,
somewhere in college, regardless of the level. Um,
mhm.
but yeah, like, now I like the tweeners more. I want the kids that,
Yeah,
wanna be there, like, not
yeah.
because their parents want them to be there, like, because they wanna be there. Um, and yeah, I mean, and then, like, I also don't like the bottom end of the spectrum because
Or they don't want to work hard enough and all that. Yeah, I get
yeah,
that.
it's like, buddy, like, or, whoever, like, you're here, like, you gotta you
Might as
gotta
well,
try.
go for it. Yeah,
Yeah, like, you gotta try, and, like, hey, if you don't wanna be here, then, like, we gotta have a conversation with mom and dad, like, maybe it's something we try again
yeah.
in 6 months. Luckily, I don't have to have too many of those conversations, um, but yeah, the tweeners are the best, man, the tweeners are the best.
That's why I liked my high school coaching experience a lot more than my for like soccer than my
Oh,
club
your
coaching
club
experience. Because
experience?
for
Yeah, it's
club,
probably very similar.
yeah, club experience, the kids would just get driven there and dropped off by their parents, and the kids would rather watch Saturday cartoons, have pancakes, play video games. I don't blame them, right?
Yeah,
And then the parents are like, there's a lot of entitlement because there's so much money being thrown around and promises being made that your kid's going to be a D1 athlete when like they weren't. And
yeah,
then, like high school, the parents knew they're not really paying. They kind of just sit in the stands. They don't talk to you as much. And the kids had like ego on the line because people would ask how the games were the night before. So they want to be good. They want to be cool, whatever. And so, I mean, like the kids, the motivation was just instantly higher. And you could really mess with those kids. Like the popular kids, you could just be like, oh, you're too cool to track back and make a tackle. And then just light a
mhm,
fire in their ass to like, to make a play. Or like the kids are a little bit more shy and awkward. Like you could tell them, like, most coaches would scream if they missed a shot or a pass. I'm like, I don't care at all. If you ever make a
yeah,
mistake, all I cared about was the intention. If you're putting your absolute best effort and you had the right idea, if you ever say sorry, that was a huge like pet peeve of mine. I would say, did you mean it? And they'd say no. I'm like, then don't apologize. You're not perfect. He's not perfect. You're all gonna make mistakes. Do you know what I mean? But like, if you
yeah,
ever actually made a mistake and you meant it, you apologize to everybody, and then sayonara. But it's like, yeah.
yeah.
So,
I've
yeah, those
never
cool.
coached club soccer, but I could completely agree with that. Like
Dude, yeah,
the the high school setting is completely different than the club setting, and
yeah.
yeah, and just like being able to watch the kids grow from like if you're lucky enough to get them as a maybe like a sixth grader or something, and then you're able to like work with them, each year for six years, and then like by the time they're like we just had our senior night Tuesday night, and like watching those seniors walk across the field with their families, it's like I remember
Emotional.
I remember I mean, a little bit. Like, I remember riding
Yeah,
riding the bus with you 4 hours south to our, like, off-season camp, and
yeah.
you're just this little kid, and now you're all grown up. You've grown as a person, and you've grown tremendously as a soccer player. Like, it's kinda goes back to, like, this setting and, like, the training. It's awesome to watch the growth and just knowing that, like, you had a minor impact
Oh,
in it all.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think that's one of the best reasons for someone to get into coaching is to be the coach that they wanted growing up. Because I've had some
Mhm.
great coaches, I've had some not great coaches, and then even like as an employee, I always felt I was going to be an entrepreneur because I didn't like following orders blindly and all that stuff. And like it was a lot easier. Not you, for example, but it's a lot easier if you like look up to the person, trust the person, respect the person, than if you don't. And my
Mhm.
first coaching job. It was like there's a freshman team out in Colorado that I was a coach of in soccer, and the varsity coach was like just the best role model as to what a coach should be. Type of coach I wish I would have had in my playing career. And then my first experience, I had you as within the S&C world, and I was like, man, this is great. I've also seen some not so good stuff, and so like I just thought like if I ever have the opportunity to work with someone, I'm gonna be what I wanted at that age. I want to have the right balance for whatever the personality is. If it's a kid that needs a push, they get a push. If it's a kid that needs, pat on the back or something like that, they get whatever. But I find that's the real reason to coach. It's not the me show with any client that I work with. It's their show. I tell myself I'm a Sherpa. I just try to help them get where they want to go, and
Yeah.
make it as easy for them as possible and all that stuff. But actually, you talking about high school soccer was one of the questions that I had. I was going to ask, uh, how is it different working with the technical, tactical, physical, mental aspect as opposed to with what you're currently doing, professionally? It's mostly just physical, maybe some mental. You're not going to teach skills as much or tactics. So, how do you feel that
Yeah.
coaching in general kind of applies across the spectrum?
I feel like I feel like when I started coaching high school soccer, it's honestly it was my first year in high school soccer was 2017, and it was actually when I was technically still an employee with
Okay.
Proforce, and we were just starting the Northern Kentucky location. So I had, maybe like 2 or 3 athletes that I was working with from week to week and just had like all this extra free time. So I got into coaching high school soccer because one of my good friends had moved back to the area and took the job at his alma mater, Campbell County High School. So, um, when I first started coaching with the guys that I'm still coaching with, I did not know near as much as I maybe thought I did. Like I had played soccer my whole life, but um, there were definitely some things that I learned. That very first year coaching with Kyle, who had been around soccer his entire life, played in high school, played at Transylvania, got into coaching club, and then got into coaching high school, and then had coached at 2 different high schools. So definitely learned a lot, and I still tell the kids like if I ever have to like say something to the team or talk to an individual off to the side, it's like I was never the best soccer player. I was never the most tactical. I was never the most skilled. I could I definitely could do enough, that I could stay on the field, but like I wasn't as good as Kyle, and I probably wasn't as good as Scott when Scott played, and I wasn't as good as Jordan when Jordan played. Just like all the other guys that we coach with. But like one thing that I was able to do was I was able just to be an athlete. So
Mhm.
I as far as like differences go coaching it, I would say I took a lot that first year from trying to like get into coaching soccer, and I took that, a little bit of that to the S&C room. But I also learned so much from Kevin when I first started with him as as just being a coach and kind of whether that's cueing certain things or just communicating certain things with individuals. I don't know, Matt. It's probably a tough question. I think they both have had a lot of benefit from like realm to realm,
Mhm.
S&C to coaching soccer. Um, I don't know if I could put like any specific thing on it as far as like the
Yeah,
major
yeah.
differences.
Coaching's coaching at the end of the day. You're working with an individual and you're trying to teach them and guide them and
Yeah,
motivate them and all those.
and honestly, I find myself saying a lot of the same things as I do here that I do on the soccer field, especially like
Mhm.
talking or trying to coach things to like the freshman team, which is composed of majority middle schoolers this year. Like I think we have 3 true freshmen in the program.
You're good.
So the rest of the freshman team is all 6th and 7th graders. So like when you're working with them, it's hey, you got to find a rhythm with your feet. Like you got to keep your feet moving. You got to find a rhythm with your pass. Like uh, you gotta feel a rhythm with like how the ball bounces off your foot. Like I find myself like rhythm is the word I use the most. Like day in and day out. And then like yeah, like once you learn the skill, whether that's passing or juggling or receiving a ball out of the air, like once you learn the skill, then you can add speed to those things and power to those things. So I would say there's a lot of carryover from coaching in like a weight room and in a S&C realm to soccer. I'm not the best at it. I'm still learning. I'm still learning as far as
Well, I always
like
found
trying
it
to.
interesting. Yeah,
I,
yeah, I
I
found it
like
interesting because
I'm
I just
still
think
learning
people.
as far as like being a soccer
Yeah,
coach.
yeah.
And yeah, like whenever we have those gaps in practices where we we might need to do some fitness related stuff, Kyle calls on me. He's like, "Hey, we're doing 15, 20 minutes of fitness today. Like, be prepared." And I'm like, "All right, sounds good." So
Cool. Yeah, yeah. So, when I first started coaching, I had just stopped being a player, and I then started taking my coaching courses. And the coaches who've been coaches for 20, 30 years and all that stuff were saying that I coached like a player, and they made it sound like it was a bad thing. They said, "Oh, you have to look at it more as a coach," and this, that, and the other. Someone might want me to have more complexity in my drills or more complicated tactics and all that stuff. I just thought to myself, I was like, it's not a complicated game. You don't have to make it complicated. Make it as simple as possible and then just try to get the best out of each individual. And I always thought it was better to teach the game as opposed to the drill. So I'd make them just play like a little scrimmage and all that stuff. And if someone had a bad tendency, I'd rather just talk about their tendency and then give them options and give them all that stuff as opposed to, the FIFA style. It's like, oh, I want this play every time when you use your brain. And I don't like that style of coaching.
yeah,
Um, but one thing that I learned when I started strength coaching, especially, is to like they say let the first few reps suck. Um, if someone does, you got 8 reps of squat, they have a bad first squat, and you're no, no, you shouldn't do. You have to fix this, and that. It's just gonna make everything worse. So you just have to let the first 3 reps go, and then if there is something to fix, you fix the number one thing. If there's like one, two, three, four, and this is the biggest thing that they have to fix, you only tell them that thing, not the others, and then you
yeah,
give them another set. You give them 3, 4 reps to figure it out. If you need to bring it up again, sure, that's fine. But like I used to think the first time I started coaching, you have to get from like a D to an A if we're giving like letter grades with your squat in that first session. It's not going to happen. If you get from a D to a C minus, and the next one it's a C, and the next one it's a C plus, that's progress, and that's the way it's supposed to go. You only coach the one most important thing, but also sometimes you just have to like shut up and sit back and watch,
yeah,
and then they'll actually be able to like figure it on their own. And sometimes like, or even like someone will do one leg RDL, they'll use the wrong leg and arm, and then I'll just be like, okay, I won't say anything. 2 reps in, they figure it out on their own. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, I'm glad I didn't get overly involved. But when I was coaching soccer, maybe I would have talked a bit too much and learning the strength training side of things. That definitely changed it. Um,
yeah.
this been
I
okay.
think
We're
at
coming
the
towards.
beginning.
Go ahead.
Sorry, just real fast. I think at the
No,
beginning
good.
of like coaching career, I definitely talked way too much. It felt like you had to
Yeah,
say something after maybe every rep. Uh, But like you said, generally just taking a step back and letting them, like you said, give them maybe one thing to think about and let them kind of figure it out. And then, hey,
yeah,
after they do it for multiple minutes or like a set or two, then maybe you get back in
yeah.
and it's like, all right, hey, you're doing better
Help a
at this,
little.
but you also need to think about this. So yeah,
Yeah.
100% there. 100%.
I don't want to talk like I'm a communication specialist though, because a lot of my clients will give me grief over my monotone, and they'll say that I'm so deadpan that like someone will just say that I'm a dick and all that stuff. They're like we always say things. I'm like I'm saying it the same as I don't know how else you want to say it, but like that's definitely something to work on is the delivery. Um, but yeah, with each client, you got to talk to them differently. Some people will respond to this feedback as opposed to that, whatever. And
Yeah.
then the one thing I especially learned from strength coaching is that there's different types of learners. Because I thought as long as I demonstrate it or I give the right cue, they can learn it. But
Hmm.
some people can't learn, with auditory cues or visual cues. They need like kinesthetic, and that was such a huge help. Was to be like, okay, how can I force someone to do the right thing with just setup? So like it might be a terrible example, but like if someone had to do a bear crawl and their hips are swaying all over the place, if you put a yoga block on their back and say to put a ball, then like they have immediate feedback as to, oh, my hips are swaying or not.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's one of those things you pick up along the way. Um, my phone's on low battery, and I just have a few more questions I was going to ask before we wrap
Hey,
up, and I don't want to take too much of your time.
hey, you're good, man.
But in your job, what feels like a win? What like really gets you going?
Um, a kid leaving happier than when they walked in the door. uh,
Okay,
like
that's huge.
just like making the impact like on their day.
Mhm.
And I remember that's something that I learned as soon as I started in this realm and like working with kids is like you don't know what the rest of their day has been like. You only know
Yeah,
what the next hour to hour and a half is going to be like when they're in your care. So like just trying to give each kid that walks in the door, like, the best experience, and generally, if they can leave happier and feeling a little bit better than when they walked in our doors, then that's a win for sure.
Which is that's an amazing answer 'cause I find that again, that shows that you focus on the individual and not yourself. I find a lot of coaches, it's like, "I wrote this program, they have to do this program exactly as I wrote it," and they make it about themselves. And then it's a service industry, and I think a lot of people lose sight of that sometimes. So, like,
Yeah,
really just care about the experience they have is huge. Um, do you have any pet peeves in the industry? Anything that, like, you wish was different?
I probably do. I'm probably not the best interviewer.
No worries.
Uh, Pet peeves, honestly, yeah, like, probably trying to, like, bypass basic stuff. Like, don't
Yeah,
bypass,
too
like,
complex,
whether
too quick.
that's yeah, like, don't get complex too quick, and that's something that probably is we see it on the soccer field and in the weight room, it's like, "Guys, we don't need to make this more complex than it is." Like, if a kid still can't squat, if a kid still, can't
Mhm,
do a push-up or a chin-up, like, we don't need to be going to these other various exercises, like, let's just keep the basics and get really good
yeah.
at those.
Yeah, I think, people think the advanced methods are the secret to the gains when they still have so much, like, beginner and intermediate gains that they haven't touched, and that just takes
Yes.
time, it takes effort, and that just takes consistency, and you have to teach them there are no secrets, and, when you start getting to advanced stuff, like, that only matters if you have, like, 1% left to gain, Like,
Mhm.
uh, it might take someone 10 years to, uh get to the point where they can squat 500 pounds, but then it might take them another 5 years to add 10 pounds to that, for example, just an example. And it's like at
Yeah.
that point, of we consider the really fancy techniques, loading schemes, periodization, whatever. But like if you're not that person, then don't get lost in the noise. It's generally very simple strength training. You do the basic things over and over really well, and you should get better.
Yeah.
On the flip side, is there any like thing that you love to see in the industry, a positive trend that you've noticed, anything um, that you're kind of happy to see?
Um, Honestly, I think for, like, the people that I follow from afar, um, in our field, it's kind of that. Like, they don't get away from that stuff. Like, regardless of how advanced you are, how, like, athletic you are, like, they're still preaching, like, those um,
Fundamentals.
basic fundamentals, yes, and now they might be using some advanced, loading mechanisms or, like, rep schemes and different things like that, but, like, it's still the basics, and I feel like that's coming back a little bit more,
Yeah,
maybe a little bit, but,
yeah.
I mean, I like seeing that, like, a lot more people are, like, sprinting and jumping more, like, that's a
Yeah, yeah,
bigger
yeah,
part
yeah.
of, like, the program, and it's not so much
Yeah,
of just barbell lifts.
yeah.
That's one thing that
Food for thought.
that I still see in the high school realm in this area. It's like if the high schoolers come to see us and they're working out at school too, it's like, "All right, well, what are you doing at school?" Um, like the one girl that I'm thinking of, she was like, "We've been doing a lot of, like, sprinting and jumping recently." I'm like, "Oh, I love that. Nice." Like, and then it also kinda makes it hard too because I know they're also still doing weight room stuff, so it's like, "All right, well, what are we gonna do today? Like,
Yeah,
what
yeah.
gaps can I fill for you?" So, um, yeah, I like that. I like that I'm seeing
That's a great answer.
more sprinting and jumping and things like that.
The most important thing for athleticism is sprinting and jumping, and people were doing it forever.
Yeah.
But it's great that it's becoming a thing. I think part of it is that um, more coaches that are good are getting on social media, getting involved because before it just feels like there's a lot of influencers doing like the jumping splitty things and all that stuff. And like, all this flashy stuff in the gym that might
Oh,
not be as good
yeah.
as just doing a sprint. Like,
Yeah.
if I see someone doing like scissor jumps and lateral bounds paired together and all that stuff, and like the clapping push ups behind their back and all that, it's like, all right, well, you could also just sprint and get a huge stimulus off that. Like,
Yeah.
um, and
I'm
then,
sure you follow this guy, Jeremy Frisch. He does a
Jeremy
lot of,
Frisch,
like, youth performance stuff. I mean, he does some
I
stuff
may
with, like,
have,
high school.
I'll look him up after.
Look him up, yeah, but, like, I that's the one thing I like too from, like, a youth standpoint is, people like him preaching just yeah, like, getting really good at your body weight, hanging, swinging,
It's so
rolling,
underrated.
jumping
Yeah.
over things, and, like, catching things, Yeah, like, I love his youth performance stuff.
I have a, client who's, like 6'4", 210, 220-ish. He deadlifts 450, for reps and all that stuff. Like, he's yoked, and sometimes I'll give him, like, a push-up where he does, like, ring push-ups, ring inverted rows, theater squats. Just like,
Humble him.
"Hey, your body weight" yeah, like, "Your body weight isn't nothing," you know?
Yeah,
There's, like, Olympic gymnasts who are stronger than almost anybody else in the world, and
yeah,
they're just using their body weight. So, like, good leverage, good, good, principles, you can make anything very challenging.
yeah.
Um, the last, thing I was gonna ask is if you had any pieces of advice for a young athlete or a young coach who wants to, either someone you would help or someone that wants to be in your shoes in the future, what would you share with them?
Um, it's a good question. I would say, like, if you're a young athlete and you have aspirations to, play at, like, a high level in high school and, like, potentially have an opportunity in college, it's get involved in multiple activities, whether that's different sports throughout the year, or, like, if you are just playing, like, 1 or 2 sports, find someone like yourself or myself, that you can go to in your downtime, in your off seasons throughout the year to just learn your body. Like,
Oof.
learn how your body is supposed to move at an early age, and, as you go through, like, your developmental years and, like, your maturation years, like, you have a good understanding of that, so when you do grow, like, you're not playing catch up, um, and, like, just set a good foundation from an early age. Set a good foundation from an early age, and if you do that, then you should be in a position to do what you wanna do going forward. For someone who's maybe a little bit older and thinking about going into this field, I would I would seek out somewhere where you can go shadow, intern, observe, whatever. Like, go to different facilities or find someone that you really like and you can relate with, and, like, just go be a fly on the wall and start learning from an earlier age because that's something I think I wish I would have done. Like, for instance, like, my first real experience wasn't until, like, my internship with Northern, my senior year of college. So, like, I wish, in my earlier years of college, I would have maybe sought out a training job. I worked at a gym, but I was more on, like, the operational front desk side of things. I wish I would have maybe started training at a little earlier age. So, just trying to get in the door and start learning at an earlier age, like, earlier age. That's probably the biggest thing, whether you're an athlete or you wanna be a coach, it's like, get around those individuals so you can learn how it should be.
Yeah,
Um,
getting through reps and having, like, an open mind and, like, testing things out as well is a huge thing, I think. But I can vouch to what you're saying. Get in a good place as quick as you can. It makes a big difference because that's what I had with you. And I'm forever grateful for you because you were like the person that got me started in this space. I'm very happy with my life and where it is now. So like I really appreciate you. I really do. I've never said a negative thing about you and all that stuff. And like if anyone
thanks,
ever
man.
asks, um, the
Appreciate that.
my phone's about to die, but, you also the thing you mentioned just before that is, like, another can of worms, long-term athletic development, so we'll have to do another podcast in the
Oh,
future,
yeah, for sure.
be a great subject to talk about. If anyone wants to find you, where can they find you?
I'm on Instagram as if I am on it, that's what I'm on. It's, Coach C Mefford, and, that's pretty much it.
Okay, cool. Alright, well, I appreciate it. I'm really grateful, thank you, and I hope you have
Hey, it
a
was great catching up
great
with
day.
you, Matt.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Have a good
See
one,
you,
man.
man. Yep, bye.